right, Madam Chair, if you're ready, we can go through the agenda real quick.
Okay.
And I do mean real quick.
Yep. Great.
So item number one was a new detached garage and ADU on 15th Street. We did place some conditions of approval on it regarding setbacks and height. If the commission is comfortable with those conditions, we would be okay with consent. And I believe the applicant would too. And then the second item was a new porch on a contributing structure, much in keeping with what used to exist on that structure. We did not have any major concerns on that application, and we would be comfortable with that one on consent as well. So I'll leave that up to the commission if you would like to hear any of those.
What did you think? Or did you have questions for Josh?
Yeah, we have, Josh, some of this language in the second application was sort of vague. They were like, we're gonna retain the windows, but
Okay.
if they don't retain the windows, do they have to come back to the city for another COA?
They wouldn't, and I mean, we could condition it that way. I mean, let's go ahead and pull that one off and maybe talk about those things just briefly. I think there's ways to craft the conditions that if and I think we've done that in the past. We've crafted conditions that if they aren't able to be salvaged, then we have some specific requirements for what goes in. So happy to pull. Let's go ahead and hear too. If depending on your comfort level with number one.
Yep. I mean, that sounds great to me.
Okay. All right. We'll plan on it. And I believe food is in the table rock. Okay. Thank you.
Okay. Great. Welcome. Small audience today. Today is the 26th of September, 2022. This is the scheduled time and place for the Historic Preservation Commission meeting. I am Chairperson Weaver, and I now call the meeting to order. Nikki, will you please call the roll?
Otter.
Present.
Here. Malloy.
Here.
Here.
Montoto.
Here.
Maroney. Cosby. Okay. 5 present, 3 absent.
Thank you. Have all the commissioners had a chance to review the minutes from the August 29th, 2022 meeting? Does anyone have any comments or changes to the minutes? Okay, hearing none, I will now take a motion on the August 29th, 2022 minutes.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I move to approve the August 29th, 2022 hearing minutes.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Montoto. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Commissioner Malloy. Nikki, will you please call the roll?
Otter.
Aye.
Kim Ty.
Aye.
Malloy. Aye.
Aye.
Montoto.
Aye.
Motion carries. All in favor?
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have no items up for deferral tonight, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. We have one possible item for consent, beginning with DRH 22-00294. Does the commission have any questions on this matter? Okay, is the applicant present?
Yes, present.
Okay, great. Are you in agreement with the recommended conditions of approval?
To my understanding, yes, it needs to be reduced in size and height. Are there other recommendations?
No, that was it.
Okay, yes, I believe so. I want to be in compliance. So thank you for the advice on those.
Great, thank you. Was there any written opposition to this matter?
Madam Chair, there was not.
Okay, is there anyone present wishing to testify tonight? Okay, great. Seeing none, based on the representation of the applicant and the lack of opposition, item DRH 22-00294 will be placed on the consent agenda. I move that the consent agenda and all items on the consent agenda be approved, subject to the findings and conclusions and conditions of approval agreed upon for the application. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, a second by Commissioner Montoto. Nikki, can you please call the roll?
Aye.
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 All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Well, we have just one item remaining on our agenda tonight. The item will be DRH 22-00295. Staff, can we please have the report?
Thank you, Madam Chair. The applicant before you tonight has applied to modify the character defining facade of an existing contributing single-family home in the expanded north end. So the property is located on one of two side-by-side substandard lots on 26th Street on the east side, very near the intersection with Irene Street. So the existing structure on the property is set back quite far from 26th Street, over 58 feet. And in fact, towards the rear of the property, the applicant has proposed to renovate the existing home, upgrading some finishes, a lot of interior work, repainting, restoring the exterior, and then a new porch on the front of the structure, which is essentially the reason for the hearing tonight. So the existing house has fallen into some disrepair, certainly. I'll let the applicant go into detail, in terms of their plans for the property, but the plan is to restore the home and bring it into a desirable state for occupation, which I believe it is not at currently. So historically, as seen in the photos in the historic survey, the home did have an uncovered front porch. It was a low wood deck with railing, which was open. It was across the front and one of the sides, and then it was open to the sides for ingress and egress to the porch with some raised wood walkways and steps. The applicant has proposed to replace that front porch in the same footprint, again with the railing on three sides and some openings with the steps that then cascade down. It's difficult, certainly with the historic photos, to ascertain exactly the configuration of that porch, but the applicant's proposal does appear to be very much in keeping on what that original front porch was. Some additional elevations and drawings on the structure indicating that existing wood lap siding is to remain. Existing wood windows are to remain, and they do specify a new wood door along with that new wood deck and other upgrades, and certainly including paint, new shingle roof, and new trim and windows where necessary. So after reviewing the application, staff did recommend approval with conditions. One of the conditions of approval that I believe the commission wanted to discuss tonight and maybe gain some additional clarity from the applicant on was the requirement to maintain and restore the existing materials wherever possible, as indicated in the application. So they have indicated that again, those existing wood windows, that existing wood lap siding would remain, but I believe we're looking for some clarity probably from the applicant about their plans for those materials. With that, I would stand for any questions, and the applicant is online and ready to speak as well.
Are there any questions for staff? Okay, great. Okay, we're ready for the applicant. If you could come forward and state your name and address for the record, you'll have 20 minutes.
Yeah, my name's Addison Hewart. Good evening. My name's Addison Hewart. I am a representative for Timber and Love over on 3024 West Fairview Ave here in Boise. And trying to confirm everybody can hear me.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay.
Thank you. And you can just go ahead and we'll wait till you're done speaking and then we'll ask you questions.
Um, to touch on what Josh had explained, one correction I think we had unintentionally submitted. We aren't intending to change the front door. We like to keep the front door, simply paint it along with the rest of the house. He touched on our goal is certainly to save all of the windows in the house. The issue is that they currently don't close because of the age of the structure. The windows were built in to the home. There's not a separate frame which they could be removed, so they'll need to be kind of taken apart piece by piece. And then there is some wood on the jambs that would indicate we couldn't be saved at this time. It would be our goal, but we would simply return that wood material with new wood. It was already painted to begin with, so we feel once it's painted, there really wouldn't be much of a difference, certainly in terms of the finished look versus what's there, although it would look obviously nicer. Yes, we would like to replace the roof, which is seriously rotted. There's shingles and kind of growing. And then on the front deck, that is correct. We'd like to, the existing deck was close to 10 by 10. It was 9 feet, 7 inches by 10 foot. And so we would like to ask if it's possible to enlarge that deck slightly to 12 foot off the front of the house by 16 foot wide. We feel because of the 58-foot setback that this would be a good use of that space to create some more functionality for the house, where it's just under 800 square feet. With a slightly larger deck, it would accommodate table and chairs and could act as additional living space where the weather permits. Those would be my only comments. If there are any questions, I'd be happy to take those.
Thank you. Are there questions for the applicant?
Yes, I have some questions. So I thank you for reusing or keeping the original siding and the intent of reusing the original windows. So your plan is if the windows need to be repaired, that you're going to replace certain sections of the window in kind. Is that correct?
Correct. Yep. We feel the window unit itself, in terms of the muntins and mullions, are fine. It's just the hinges are literally built into the frame. And so I think we'll have to take each piece of the window out because they're more of a European inward French style. And so we tend to, rebuild the jambs, keep as much hardware. We think it, certainly it's important to keep it, as well as we think it'll bring a lot of value to know that those windows are original and restored originally.
Okay. Thank you.
Great. Are there any other questions? I do have a question for you. You mentioned that you would like to make the front porch a little bit larger than it appears the original footprint was. And did you say that was both in the length and the width of it?
Correct. The original length was, excuse me a moment. We had as-built done. Yeah, I believe it's 9'7" 3/8 by 10 foot wide. And if we were to go to 12 foot wide, that would place the deck just outside those existing windows. The previous deck was kind of off-centered, and then 16 feet out from that, or excuse me, 16 feet wide would place it left and right of those front windows. And then 12 foot long off the house would just accommodate more functional space for the home.
And so what your drawings are showing right now, I believe is the smaller size. Is that correct?
We had as-built done that were submitted, and then there was it's on page packet page 47 shows the proposed floor plan, both interior as well as the proposed deck dimensions and where that would line up with the front facade.
Great. I think Josh is trying to pull that up right now.
Okay.
I guess I missed that. It's the elevation show. Okay, great. We're looking at the floor plan that shows the larger deck size on there. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, I think that we have asked all our questions of you. So you'll have a chance in a few minutes to speak again.
Understood.
Okay, great. Is the Registered Neighborhood Association here?
Good evening, Madam Chair. This is Kate Henwood. I am here.
Great, thanks. Go ahead and state your name and address, and then you'll have 20 minutes.
Sure. Kate Henwood, 1116 North 12th Street. So we did trade a few emails with Mr. Hebert and asked a few questions, which I would like to run through quickly, only because I'm not sure if it was just me or for everyone, but I didn't see any visual presentation tonight like we typically do. And a lot of the questions that our committee had were based on the drawings and the images in the packet. So I just wanted to confirm a couple things. So one, I know there has been discussion about the front porch. In one of the drawings, it looked to us that like there was a porch on the back of the home also. So wanted to confirm the porch in question is the front. I do want to say we would strongly prefer they keep the original porch size. In the drawings, we noticed there were no corbels drawn. So we asked the applicant, they said that there would be no changes to the corbels, but except for paint. So we just wanted to confirm that those will remain. He did confirm that the front door would be reused. So just want to reiterate our support for that. It's already been discussion about the windows. And then let's see. He did indicate a positive response to our suggestion for downlighting. So that was great and did indicate that there flexibility on their part on porch size. And again, we would just really prefer it stay that original, original size closer to the 10 by 10. 12 by 16 does feel like a significantly larger footprint. I think at this point, this is neither here nor there, but I think it's worth noting that the porch was demolished during the applicant's ownership. Oh gosh, sorry, my dog. Sorry. And then, oh gosh, let me shut this door. I'm so sorry. And then I also just was curious, Josh did mention that this is a divided substandard lot. If I'm not mistaken, the applicant represents the same folks who are developing the adjacent lot. I was curious if they have any renderings of what those finished projects would look like side by side. They are very small lots. They are, the placement of this existing home is, at the very far setback and was just curious if there were any renderings available of what these two completed projects would look like side by side. So I think that is all we had. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you. And I think we were trying to get the screen sharing up. I'm not sure if you can see that now, but
I can see that now. Thank you.
okay, great. Great, thank you very much. We don't have anybody signed up today, but is there anyone in the audience wishing to testify on this case? Okay, great, seeing nobody. All right, applicant, you are welcome to come back on and you'll have 5 minutes for rebuttal. I don't know if you heard the kind of the talking points from the neighborhood association, and if you'd like to speak to those, and we can help you with that list if you need us to.
Yeah, thank you, Kate, for bringing those questions forward, and those are great clarifying points. She had mentioned starting kind of the low-hanging fruit, if you will. Yeah, the corbels were not identified on either the as-built or the proposed. They are seen in the photos that were submitted. And we do intend to keep the corbels. The dormer won't change. The windows will remain. Attic vent remains. Front door remains. Carriage light will be replaced there to the left, but not with any, keeping with the night sky and everything like that. She did bring up a point. Yes, the porch was demoed during the ownership with Timber Love. I don't have any further comment there. Anyone that was involved in this project is no longer with Timber Love, so I'm not sure on the details. It was conveyed to me that the deck was deteriorated to a place where it couldn't be saved, but apologies that Timber Love took down that deck prior to us having this meeting now. In terms of the size, totally understood that 10 by 10 was closer to what the original was. We do think 12 by 16 would create, again, a little more functional space. I don't think the picture represents just how far set back this home is. And I think with that consideration, the deck won't look as large as it may sound. But we do understand that we're asking to go beyond that 10 by 10. And then lastly, with remaining time, yes, Timber Love does own the lot seen kind of to the right there, as well as the property 1706. And there's that essentially creates 100 feet frontage feet, and that's right now it's being split into two 50-foot lots. There are renderings I can share. I'm not sure how to go about doing that via Zoom right now, but I can try if there's appropriate time, or I can send those to Kate. But Timber Love's plan is a little up in the air. They're currently listed as spec for pre-sale on the IMLS as of Friday. But pending how that goes, that plan is subject to change. So I just want to make sure that's clear that they do own the property to the right. There are going to be two 50-foot lots, and the goal is to build new homes, but the timeline and exactly what those homes will look like is still unclear.
Great, thank you. I would recommend that you go ahead and send them to Kate, and then once they're finalized, they'll go through the process at the city.
Can do.
Okay, thank you very much. Are there any last minute questions for staff or the applicant?
I have a question for the applicant. Have you explored maybe keeping the original deck size and then adding some sort of landscaping? I'm guessing you just want to have a larger deck for entertaining, and I feel like that could be done with landscaping that we've seen elsewhere in the historic districts.
Yeah, that's certainly an option we could look at if that's the best route for this project. we had not explored it in detail at this time.
Okay. Are there any other questions for the applicant? Okay, thank you very much for your testimony, and then we'll go ahead and close the public portion of the hearing. And I will either consider a motion or discussion.
Yes, I'll open up for discussion. I'm sort of leaning towards keeping the original deck size. I actually don't think that deck was original to begin with, but keeping the size down. And then maybe they can do landscaping of some sort for their entertaining space. And I am concerned about the windows. So I'd like to add a condition that kind of guarantees that they're keeping the windows, and any deviation will have to be reviewed by staff.
Madam Chair,
Yes.
I guess I would say I'm fine with the windows. I think the renderings make it hard because they don't have the cross panels and stuff in there like the originals. And so I'm with Commissioner on that. I am flexible on the size of the deck. I do think that they are bringing a house back that's in pretty bad shape and giving more space to have outdoor living in order to make this a house that people want to move into. I'm open to. And especially if the deck wasn't really original, I mean, adding a bigger deck is really not a big deal then. And if it makes it so they can put a table and chairs out there and have family dinners or something that allows a bigger family to live in there, I'd be open to that.
Madam Chair.
Thank you. Yes.
I would like to echo Commissioner Otter's thoughts. I think personally, living in a smaller home with a smaller footprint, having outdoor living space is really important. So I think that increasing the porch size would be great for this project. As for the condition of approval mentioned by Commissioner Malloy to keep the windows intact, I would support that.
Thank you. I would agree with the windows as well. And it's not knowing if the porch was original. It obviously has been there for a very long time. So potentially it was constructed long enough ago that it becomes part of the history of the house, I guess is a compromise, but I would consider is potentially having it the same width as it originally was from the middle of the one window to the edge of the other one, and then be deeper so that it still has the same appearance from the front, but gives you a little bit of extra living space coming out from the house. But that's just a thought on that. So would anybody like to make a motion?
I can make a motion. So I move to approve DRH 22-00295 based on the staff's analysis and findings contained within the staff report. In addition to the windows will be repaired and not replaced. And the repair should meet the Secretary of the Interior standards for in-kind replacement. Should parts of the windows need to be replaced, any deviation will have to be approved by the staff. And then for the deck, the 10-foot by 12-foot size. What would you say? 10 by?
Well, it's 10 by 10 now. Is a compromise be fine with 10 by 14 or something like that?
Okay, and the deck be 10 by 14 feet.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Malloy and a second by Commissioner Montoto. Nikki, will you please call the roll?
Otter,
Aye.
Kintai,
Aye.
Malloy,
Aye.
Weaver,
Aye.
Montoto.
Aye.
Motion carries. All in favor?
Okay, Great, thank you. That was our last motion for tonight, so we'll call that a night. Thank you, everybody, for coming.